Hello and welcome back to Learn JavaScript on Codecademy's Conditional Statements section. This is Truthy and Falsy. It says, let's consider how non-boolean data types like strings or numbers are evaluated when checked inside a condition. Sometimes you'll want to check if a variable exists, and you won't necessarily want it to equal a specific value. You'll only check to see if the variable has been assigned a value. Here's an example. Let my variable be assigned I exist. If my variable, then console.log my variable, else console.log the variable does not exist. The code block in the if statement will run because my variable has a truthy value. Even though the value of my variable is not explicitly the value true, when using a boolean or conditional context, it evaluates to true because it has been assigned a non-falsy value. So which values are falsy or evaluate to false when checked as a condition? The list of falsy values include 0, empty strings like this or this, null, which represent when there is no value at all, undefined, which represent when a declared variable lacks a value, and nan, or not a number. Here's an example with numbers. Here we have let number of apples be assigned 0. If number of apples, console.log let us eat apples. Else console.log no apples left. This will print no apples left. The condition evaluates to false because the value of the number of apples is 0. Since 0 is a falsy value, the code block in the else statement will run. Instructions: change the value of word count so that it is truthy. This value should be a number. After you make this change and run your code, great, you've started your work, should log to the console. So if we go to word count here, we see it's 0. So we change it to 23. Now word count will evaluate as true here. So it should log out this, great, you started your work. Let's run that. Great, you started your work did run. So let's move on to the second. So the second says, change the value of favorite phrase so that it still has a string but falsy. After you make this change, run your code. The string is definitely empty, should log to the console. So we want it to be falsy, but it should still be a string. If we go back up here and take a look, it could be an empty string, and that should give us falsy. Favorite phrase, and then empty string, it should give us false here and go to the else, and it should print this string is definitely empty. If we zoom out, we run it again, and we do get this string is definitely empty. So what we're getting from this lesson is truthy and falsy statements. We go over what constitutes falsy, which is 0, empty strings, null, undefined, and nan, or not a number. Those would all evaluate as false. If we have a variable with an actual number that's not 0, or a string that actually contains characters, those would all evaluate as true. If you guys are understanding that, you guys get this lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.